Hey everybody, welcome back to our HTML and CSS video series for web design class. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how you would use a little bit more in-depth usage of the tags that we've talked about so far, specifically the paragraph and the break tag, and how you would add markup to text to actually make it display how you would see it. To do this, I've gone to a site. You can see up in the top here the Poetry Foundation, and I found this poem called Gathering Leaves by Robert Frost. And this is a really good example of how you would use a heading and then a paragraph and some break tags to actually display text in a little bit different way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take this text and we're going to copy it. So what I'm going to do, I like to go to the bottom and start at the bottom, and I double click and then just drag up until we have all of that selected in blue. Control C is your copy key for that. It's a nice little shortcut. So as with all HTML documents, before you can just go and start making it a document, you have to do the skeleton. I'm not going to show you how to do that again. Hopefully you have it. Something that I would recommend to you is, as opposed to typing this each time, which I actually don't mind that you do, however, you will get to a point where you do mind quite a bit. I have it saved in a separate document. And what I did is I go up to File then, and I do Save As, so I can just go ahead and use the document I have and not have to retype all of the tags. If you do it that way, you're going to call this one, we'll call this the paragraph practice poems. And that'll be the same thing for our assignment name. And then your name, date, class, hour, all that stuff stays the same. So one thing I would like to show you. By the way, if you need to take a second to do that, pause the video as much as you need, all good. Make sure that all your tags are correct. But one thing I would like to show you is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste that text that I copied in. You'll notice that it's not indented the right way, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to drag select and tab it in so it actually indeed does line up. If you've probably noticed by now that I have a little bit of an issue making sure that things line up, so please make sure that that lines up. So one thing I want to show you is that without the markup, although in Dreamweaver, or whichever program you are using currently, this looks the way that it does on the screen that we copied from. In Dreamweaver, when you preview this, you get this. You don't have any breaks. You don't have any paragraphs. It doesn't look anything like what it did on the other page. It doesn't look anything like this because we haven't added any markup to it to tell the browser how to process our code. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that markup. So the first thing, Gathering Leaves, is a heading. You can tell it's a heading because it was bold and a little bit larger than everything else. So I'm going to make that an H3. So notice what I just did right there, by the way. I typed my H3 tag. The closing tag actually was there, but we don't want it to be like that. We need Gathering Leaves to be in the middle of our tag. So what I did is I just took this and I just drug it, clicked on it and drug it to the end of the line, and it should do its thing. So now when we do that and we go over and we go back to the preview, Gathering Leaves looks similar to how it did there. I think I actually used probably the wrong one. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to change it to H2. And then the Robert Frost was probably a slightly different heading. We'll go probably H4. We'll just make that one a heading. One thing we're going to ignore is you see how it's underlined. That's probably a link on their site to go and actually go to a Robert Frost page. We're just going to ignore that and not do it. So, spades take up their leaves. This whole thing right here is a paragraph, just as you would see it in a word processor. So what we're going to do is, it is all one paragraph. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to use our paragraph tag. And you might need to do this the same thing that I'm doing, where you have to tab it in a little bit. And that's all one paragraph right there. So if we go back, though, and we look, we want each one of those lines to be on a different line of text. So we're kind of getting there a little bit, but we're not quite there. So although we have now a space between the paragraphs like we need, we actually need a space between the lines. So we have, this is one paragraph of text. Within this paragraph of text, we're going to use our break tag, just like we would hit enter in a word processor, to make sure that all of those go to a different line. Now if we go in and we look at our preview, it should actually look a whole lot more like it does. It won't look exactly, and the reason it will not look exactly like that is because they've added CSS to their page. They've added a specific font. They've made the text a little bit larger. They've gone and they've indented this. They've done a whole lot of different CSS to this. We're not going to do that yet. We will, but just not today. So now we actually have our first paragraph of text as it would be. So now we have our second paragraph. We're going to go ahead and we'll do it the other way. Control X will cut that off your page, and Control V will paste it back in place. So now notice what I've done here. Is you have the opening and closing paragraph tags, and in the middle you have the stuff that is actually considered your paragraph. So that actually goes in between it. And now I'm going to show you a shortcut. If you hold down Control and you click at the end of each one of those lines, you can actually go ahead and save yourself a bunch of time by not having to retype that break tag every time. So that Control click thing is definitely a wonderful shortcut. And if we go take a look at our preview, we are definitely getting this to look a lot more like it should look. So let's go ahead and finish this one out. Paragraph, we're going to highlight the closing tag. Control X will make that go off your page. Control V will paste it back on. So now the Control click shortcut can be confusing. If it confuses you, fine. Just type it. It's okay. However, it's a good time saver. So now I've clicked on the line after raise. I'm going to hold down my Control button, CTRL, Control. And with that held down, I am going to click at the end of each one of those lines and add that break tag in. Now this is, Dreamweaver is the program we will use that definitely eventually. It is industry standard, one of the best options for writing HTML code. I really like the way it works. But we will use other options because Dreamweaver also has its problems. Some programs, however, don't let you do the Control click. So if you're trying to do it and it doesn't work, that program probably doesn't do it. If it doesn't, I'm terribly sorry. So then the process stays the same. For the rest, tab it in, add our break tags. And we'll just finish this out real quickly. And then, with the markup added, when we're done, you'll see shortcut. When you have the markup all the way done, you will see that when we get back into the preview, that it should look very much similar to how it does on the page that we copied it from. So now we have actual stanzas of poems. We have the lines in the same spot they should be, all because we've gone and we've added the markup to this poem. So here's what you need to do to finish this out. You need to go from this site, you need to pick one additional poem, and you need to go ahead and you need to do the same thing we just did. Do not pick one that's like 5 bajillion paragraphs long. I don't want you to have to do that much. I want you to pick one that's similar in length. And then go, and I want you to add all the markup so it looks a very similar way. You should be doing the same thing, just a little extra practice to make the tags work better. As always, if you are having any problems, please do not hesitate to call me over and ask me questions. This is the most critical time where we're practicing and we're getting used to doing some of our tags. It's the most critical time for you to understand. If you don't understand now, it is going to be much, much worse as we go, and you will get lost. And I do not want that to happen. So please ask as many questions as you can, but go ahead and finish this out, and then I will see you again for the next video, and probably in class for that matter.